history of where we started and where we are today. We started off as Cocci Computer Services. My husband and I started the company back in 1982. We went full-time in 1984.
Wow.
Yeah, and we built up the company. We had 4 locations at one time: Portsmouth, Nashua, Laconia, and Hooksett for many, many years. We do everything IT. All right, starting off from, we started off as a break-fix company, which means that if a computer broke or a printer broke, we just come out and fix it. But the industry changed rapidly, even in those early years, and networking became prevalent. So networking, where we connected different computers together, different locations together. So that became our primary business, and originally we started with Novell. Novell was the big product back then.
Yeah.
And then we moved into the Microsoft world, and we're still in that world, in the Microsoft world. So networking is really still a huge part of our business, but in terms of what we do for the customer I shouldn't say completely different, but that's also changing. We're migrating customers to the cloud now, so the networking involves the infrastructure in the cloud as opposed to local. So we're doing a lot of cloud transitions and moving people over to the cloud. Additionally, we do a lot of offsite data backup. So we back up data for customers. We have our own data center to do that. We also work with other partners in the industry for offsite backup. I mean, customers are emailing us all the time, oh, we accidentally deleted a file, and so we're able to restore that file easily because we have their backup. We do a lot of proactive monitoring. That's really where the world is today as well, where we monitor customers' computers, servers, mobile devices, 24/7, and we just make sure we take a much more proactive approach in dealing with their computer issues, so that, for example, if a hard drive goes bad in a file server, you're probably not going to know about that, but we'll know about that in advance and can change it out so the customer can get that hard drive replaced at a time that's convenient, and they're up and running, and they don't have to worry about their server going down at an inconvenient time. We also do a lot of disaster recovery solutions. So the what ifs. What if your office got flooded? Which can happen. I mean, it does happen. So what happens if your office gets flooded? What do you do now? You can't be down. For a business to be down, there's all kinds of statistics. If a business is down for certain periods of time, the chances of them being able to recoup those revenues is slim to none, and can mean that a business goes out of business. So a lot of what we do are disaster recovery solutions to make sure that customer has some options in case of a catastrophic event. So it's really a well-rounded type of services that we offer. We do a lot of phone support, a lot of remote support. The other big thing we do is exchange hosting, where we'll take customers' mail, we'll move it into a product called Exchange. So for those customers that need to be able to share calendars, share contacts, they'll be able to do that without having to purchase a file server or any software to make that happen. They pay a monthly subscription fee. And so to take care of that, and right now we're offering the first month free if they change over to Exchange hosting.
That's pretty good. Yeah, you were talking about starting back in the early 80s. That was before I was born.
Yeah, well.
But that's just the technology in that amount of time has changed drastically. That must be really cool to have watched on the front lines of that.
So the technology has changed dramatically. The hardest part, of course, is keeping up with that technology. So we go to a lot of we go to a lot of seminars, we listen to a lot of webinars, we go to conferences just to try to stay up to date as best we can.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It is hard, and of course the customer is a lot more knowledgeable too, so they test our skill level.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so we kind of talked about kind of using your services as an exchange for what the customers typically do. because I know a little bit from my IT experience, which is very little, that it's very expensive to do your own hosting. So that's a pretty good benefit to bring on a company like yourself, right?
Well, in terms of hosting email or hosting...
Just keeping all of their stuff on site would be a lot more expensive.
Right.
Than...
To tell you the truth, the cloud solution is not 100% based on price.
Yeah.
Okay? So it may not be less or expensive, but it's the whole idea that you can work wherever you are. There's no more excuses anymore. Okay? So let's say your office doesn't have heat one day. You can't say, well, all the employees go home. They can just work from their house.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of it. So if you factor in all that, then you probably are saving money. But in terms of the actual dollar amount, it may be that moving to the cloud is more expensive than hosting locally. So, but you have to look at all the other factors.
Yeah.
There's so many other factors involved. And with the world the way it is now, you know, you want to be able to work anywhere, do anything. You know, you don't want to have to call the office and say, oh, can you go into the computers? Can you look up this? You know, you just boom, 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 and you're there. I mean, as everyone knows, the whole industry, all of us, we want instantaneous.
Yeah.
There's no waiting anymore. We want to know right now the answer to the question, and that's it. And that's it, you know, so you want to make sure that the customer has that. So, as I said, it's not always a lesser expensive solution, but in terms of the big picture, if you're looking at the big picture, it's absolutely a better solution. And of course, one thing we haven't talked about, and this includes whether you move to the cloud or whether you stay local or anything else, is security. Security is probably one of our number one questions. When we go in to do an evaluation for a customer, it's one of the first things we talk about. It's one of the first things we address. What are you doing for security? It's huge, okay? So a lot of people are afraid to move to the cloud because of security, because as we all know, the large companies are being hacked into.
Yeah.
And so people, you know, and I'm not gonna lie to you, you know, there's always that risk, but it's the same risk whether you're local or not. I mean, how many people have gotten viruses in the past year? I mean, so many, you know, how many companies have been broken into even locally, you know, people customers who are not in the cloud. So it's just so much, you know, security is just such a huge element to what we do.
Yeah. Because a lot of times I just won't do business with someone if I'm even remotely worried about the security of the place. You know, you drive by certain gas stations and you're like, nah.
Right.
And that'd be the same for online companies. So that's
right.
a really good point.
It's a big concern, and something that you know, we try to address right from the beginning. It's like we need to address security. And listen, it's sometimes expensive to buy security, but you need to. You know, you need to. You need to protect your data, or you're not going to be in business a year from now.
So what are some of your recommendations as far as security goes?
Well, at a minimum, you have to have a router, and I don't mean a router that the cable company provides you. Those routers are so easy to break into, but something a lot more sophisticated at a minimum. We recommend from time to time to do intrusion protection security checks that we can offer, just to make sure that you're not being broken into, that you know, just another way to make sure that you're protected. Of course, virus protection. You know, that's like bare minimum. If you don't have virus protection, and I'm not talking about AVG for free, I'm talking about paid virus protection. I can't imagine anyone at this point doesn't have virus protection. So that would be your bare minimum. And there's so much beyond that. You know, encrypting your data. So for those companies that, especially companies that are in the HIPAA world, PCI compliance, financial world, you have to encrypt your data. Just now we're in the process of doing some financial changes, and anytime we get information from the lawyer, everything's encrypted. Everything's encrypted. So that we have to put in a passcode. You can't just open it up. You can't just see it. And it's encrypted not only once it gets to our inbox, it's encrypted in transit, and that's essential as well. So we sell encryption software. I mean, Really, we sell a lot of things. You know, we sell spam software to try to eliminate a lot of the spam so you don't make the mistake of opening up an email that you shouldn't open. So that's really important.
Yeah.
You're right, but the industry's changed so much, and you know,
Yeah.
we've been on the forefront, and we just keep trying to just read, you know, to stay up to date. I mean, security, we didn't talk about security in terms of cameras, you know, so we also do camera security. You know, our parent company, Green Estate Communications, which we sold to them 5 years ago, sells a complete security solution, including making sure your thermos is at the right temperature, you know, you can open up locks and things of that nature.
Well, now we're talking like full integration of
Full
everything.
complete integration, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's a long way from those giant computers that, you know.
Oh, long ways, yeah. And that's where my husband started, and just as a little background, you know, my husband's electrical engineer, that's where he got his training. He was in charge of the computers at public service at the time when we started this business. My background is sales and financial. You know, I have a master's degree from Babson's in finance and accounting, and I've been working in sales for years. So that's how we got going, and then 5 years ago we decided to sell.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
That's a good move.
yeah. So our parent company is Green Estate Communications, and the new name of our company is GSC IT Solutions. So they changed our name just recently, effective January of this year. They changed it, and that's our new name. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as far as, so we got GSC.
Yes.
Like, what other companies are there that you typically, you know, are in the area? Because I don't know many as far as...
The companies that we service are companies?
I mean, either way.
Well, just in terms of the types of companies that businesses that we look for,
Mm-hmm.
we're looking for, we are B2B, so we're not in the consumer world.
Okay.
And we're looking for businesses that probably have up to about 50 users, you know, 50 to 75 users. Anywhere between that is a sweet spot for us to be able to service their systems and take care of them. Generally, it would be for a company that doesn't have a full-time IT staff, but someone from their company is kind of the IT person, but that's not really their job. And it's just taking a lot of time out of their regular job.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of company that we work for, you know, that we like to work for best.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Also important to GSC IT Solutions is our staff, because we have one technician that's been with us for 20 years, 20 plus years maybe, I'm not really sure at this point. Another technician that's been with us for 10 years, so we have a lot of longevity with our staff. They get to know the customers well, they understand their infrastructure, they understand what needs to be done. A customer calls, they don't have to explain everything all over again, which is a big complaint that we get quite often when we go out and talk to new customers, potential customers. They say, oh, you know, we got this company, they keep hiring new technicians, and then this one leaves, and there's just a revolving door. And we've been able to keep our technical staff for really quite some time. So that's really personal. Of course, Ed and I have been here since the beginning.
Yeah.
So you have that. So if all else fails, you know, ask for Ed or Barb.
Which is really good, because that's actually a big complaint I hear just across the board, is that kind of that revolving door
Right.
of employees.
Right.
How do you kind of get past that? Is it a really good company to work for?
Yeah, I mean, you know, just I think the consistency of the work, the type of customer that we work with, you know, it's a good customer, and the relationships that we've built with our customers and with the employees.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
So where do we find more about GSC? Do you guys have Facebook, YouTube, social media, anything like that?
Well, we have GSC IT has a LinkedIn page, a Facebook page. We also have a website, of course. So any of those places you can go and read more. We're constantly posting to the Facebook page.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today here at GSC IT, and we'll see you next time.